Nineveh, Mosul on the Tigris River. Look at that. The left coast, the right coast. These guys literally don't know their left from the right. Anyway, this is Google Maps, Mosul, Nineveh. Yes, you heard correct. Mosul, Iraq. This is your Nineveh. See if you see where he's got the whole world in his hands. And we try to find Iraq. Mosul's about right there. This is Jerusalem. This is the approximate size of the New Jerusalem should it come down relative to a 12-inch globe. But we're looking for Iraq right now. Mosul right there. Alright, can you see it there? Mosul on the Tigris River in Iraq, Syria. Here's Jerusalem. This is the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. Remember Jonah? The big fish? Nineveh. It's nowhere near water. Well, it's right about it by the Tigris River. Okay. But he was dead in that fish he wasn't in there by a campfire like Pinocchio. He was dead for 3 days and 3 nights. But this is where Tobit is going to be. Nineveh. Long about, let's see, just before, what is this, 712 BC. So the northern kingdom is going to be carried away. Pardon me, I keep this near the stove. And there it is on Google Maps again, if you can see that, relative to Israel. Because he got on the Mediterranean and he was headed west, and the great fish brought him back. Lord knows how far he had to walk to get to Nineveh. But they worshipped Ishtar. Nineveh, World History Encyclopedia. This place was beautiful and huge. I'm not sure how big and grand you can understand Nineveh was, but I saw a documentary on it once, and this lady the archaeologist she was down there at the site. Actually, there was some scuffling going on down there, and she was kind of in danger, but she let the film crew, and it was on PBS. It was a real documentary. This archaeologist was showing this river that came down to Nineveh in the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world that was probably in Nineveh. They have the aqueduct system going on and such. This riverbed came to a point where there was a bridge over it, and if you followed that bridge, like you could walk over it, it was actually a bridge of water. It was a water bridge going over water, and they traced the riverbeds up on camera. They traced the riverbeds up to the Common Source River, where there was kind of a big boulder, maybe 10 foot by 10 foot. You could move it with a bulldozer pretty easily. You move this boulder, and the water goes predominantly down one slope or the other slope. And the Ninevites, the rich people, would always get their water, but the poor people, during the dry season, that water would not go over the bridge. That boulder would be set just so that it could go to the rich people. But listen to this description of Nineveh. The building's main axis was 1/3 of a mile in length. It featured a portico consisting of solid bronze columns resting on the backs of solid bronze lions and bulls, each of which weighed 43 tons. Inside, the palace was adorned with carved reliefs showing the king in the process of erecting colossal monuments or waging war against Assyria. This is Nineveh. This is huge Nineveh. This is where Tobit is. Jonah. This is where Jonah did not want to go. He prophesied. They repented. 150 years later, they fell in the year 612, it says. Oops, sorry about that. Hang on a second here. Yeah, Nahum predicts their fall in Nahum 3:7. This is not for commercial use. This is all attributed copyright to the free copyright thing. We're not making any money off of this. If we do, all of it goes to And these people were nasty. They worship Ishtar and all the nastiness with it. Okay, continuing the preface of Tobit. The book of Tobit, named after its principal hero, combines specifically Jewish piety and morality with Oriental folklore in a fascinating story that has enjoyed wide popularity in both skillfully constructed story itself, provide valuable insights into the faith and the religious milieu of its unknown author. The book was probably written early in the 2nd century BC. It is not known where. Tobit, a devout and wealthy Israelite living among the captives deported to Nineveh from the northern kingdom of Israel in 724 BC, suffers severe reverses and is finally blinded. Because of his misfortunes, he begs the Lord to let him die. But recalling the large sum he had formerly deposited in far-off Media, he sends his son Tobiah there to bring back the money. In Media, at the same time, a young woman, Sarah, also prays for death, because she has lost 7 husbands, each killed in turn on his wedding night by the demon Asmodeus. God hears the prayers of Tobit, and Sarah, and sends the angel Raphael in disguise to aid them both. Raphael makes the trip to Media with Tobiah. When Tobiah is attacked by a large fish as he bathes, Raphael orders him to seize it and to remove its gall, heart, and liver because they make useful medicines, quote unquote. Later, at Raphael's urging, Tobiah marries Sarah and uses the fish's heart and liver to drive Asmodeus from the bridal chamber. Returning to Nineveh with his wife and his father's money, Tobiah rubs the fish's gall into his father's eyes and curses them. Finally, Raphael reveals his true identity and returns to heaven. Tobit then utters his beautiful hymn of praise. Before dying, Tobit tells his son to leave Nineveh because God will destroy that wicked city. After Tobiah buries his father and mother, he and his family depart for Media, where he later learns that the destruction of Nineveh has taken place. The inspired author of the book used the literary form of religious novel, as in Jonah and Judith, for the purpose of instruction and edification. There may have been a historical nucleus around which the story was composed, but this possibility has nothing to do with the teaching of the book. The seemingly historical data, names of kings, cities, etc., are used merely as vivid details to create interest and charm. Although the Book of Tobit is usually listed with the historical books, it more correctly stands midway between them and the wisdom literature. It contains numerous maxims like those found in the wisdom books, chapter and verse 4, 3, 21, 12, 6, 14, 7, as well as the customary sapiential themes, fidelity to the law, the intercessory function of angels, piety towards parents, the purity of marriage, reverence for the dead, and the value of almsgiving, prayer, and fasting. The book makes Tobit a relative of Ahikar, a hero of ancient Near Eastern folklore. Written in Aramaic, the original of the book was lost for centuries. The Greek translation, existing in 3 different recensions, is our primary source. In 1955, fragments of the book in Aramaic and in Hebrew were recovered from Cave 4 at Qumran. These texts are in substantial agreement with the Greek recension that has served as the basis for the present translation. That's your Roman Catholic Church prologue to the Book of Tobit.